Episode 1. She watched me breathe. Every night, I woke up choking, not because I was sick, not because I was afraid, but because she was sitting on my chest and smiling. At first, I thought she was a dream, a textbook case of sleep paralysis, the figure in the corner of the room, the way you can't scream against. But she was different. She waited. She didn't disappear when I blinked. She didn't vanish with the dawn. She stayed longer, and every night, she moved closer. Her eyes weren't red. They were wet. Her fingers weren't close, but long, slender, trembling like she hadn't touched anyone in centuries. And her face, it was always hidden by strands of dark, damp hair, until the night she spoke. You're the first to look at me without begging. My body still couldn't move, but my eyes me leaned toward her. That night, I didn't fight, and in return, she kissed me, not on the mouth, on the center of my forehead. It burned, but I smiled. When I woke up, the imprint of her lips was still there. A faint red stain that wouldn't wash off for days. My doctor called it stress. My therapist called it repressed trauma, but I called it her. She came every night after that. No longer a press became a routine. I waited for her, whispered her name, even though I didn't know if she had one. I stopped seeing people. I stopped working. I only wanted to sleep, because sleep meant her. Then came the night she didn't sit on my chest. She laid beside me, stroked my cheek with fingers colder than death, and whispered, "You belong to me now." I whispered back, "Then take me." She paused, her head tilted. Then she said the words that ruined my life and saved my soul. "You must marry me." And I said yes, without ever waking up. Episode 2. The ring was made of teeth. When I woke up, it was still dark, but the air tasted different, like copper and something older than rot. My hand ached, not from pain, from pressure. And that's when I saw it, a ring on my finger. It wasn't metal, it wasn't warm, it was flesh, tiny. Interlocked teeth formed a perfect circle around the base of my ring finger. Some sharp, some dull, not human, not animal. The texture was sickeningly smooth, like an enamel that had never seen light. I tried to scream, but my throat wouldn't open. And then I heard her voice, not beside me, inside me. "You accepted, I marked you." I stumbled to the bathroom, flicked on the light and saw the truth. The teeth weren't placed on my finger. They had grown from it, roots curled beneath the skin, pulsing, as if they'd been waiting for a host. I grabbed a razor, trembling, tried to cut one off. The moment the blade touched it, the tooth bit back, not deep lipped enough to draw blood. My blood dripped into the sink, but the ring drank it in. Every drop vanished between the cracks like it was feeding. Then the mirror fogged over without steam, and in the center of the glass, 4 words appeared, written in something too thick to be ink. "You are my vow." That day, I didn't leave the apartment. The mark on my finger throbbed every hour, as if counting down to something. By sunset, I was delirious, half awake, half somewhere else. My vision pulsed, my skin itched from inside. And then, she came, not through the door, not through the window. She stepped out of my shadow. Her veil was torn, her arms stretched long, her eyes were open now to pools of black, bottomless as sleep. And in her hands, she held a wedding dress. Not for her, for me. She whispered, "Tonight we finish what you promised." I didn't run. I walked toward her, and when I took her hand, the teeth on my ring clicked in unison like 1,000 tiny jaws clapping. She smiled and said, "All grooms must die before the vows." Then everything went black. Episode 3. The wedding night is buried under my bed. I woke up beneath my bed, not on the floor. Beneath it, between the floorboards, packed into a hollow space I never knew existed. My arms were pinned, my neck twisted at an unnatural angle. Dust and something wet filled my mouth. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe until I heard the giggle. Not hers, a child's, but it echoed in my own voice. The wood above me groaned. I looked up through the cracks and saw myself, sleeping, breathing, wearing the wedding band of teeth. My own body, lying there like nothing had happened. Except it wasn't me anymore. Not really. And then I heard the dress, fabric dragging across the floor. The rustle of lace soaked in something too thick to be wine. She knelt beside the bed, lowered her face next to mine through the gap in the floor. "They said till death do us part," she whispered, grinning. "So I gave you death, but you still belong to me." The space beneath the bed shifted, expanded. I wasn't alone. Bones, dresses, rings made of teeth. Hundreds. Some still whispered, others still wept. All of them men. I saw carvings in the dirt floor, names, vows, scratches that spelled out prayers to gods that don't listen. And then I saw Ada photograph, faded, torn. It was me, holding her hand, wearing the same suit I'd never bought, smiling a smile I don't remember giving. Behind us, A church with no doors, only shadows. I screamed. The floor above me cracked. Not from weight, from agreement. Anthony was back, in bed, sweating, gasping, but the photo was on the pillow beside me, and beneath my fingernails, dirt, the kind you find 6 feet deep. That night, I didn't sleep, but she came anyway, laid beside me, wrapped her arms around my chest, and whispered, "You're the only one who ever stayed." I wanted to run, but I think the part of me that could is still under the bed. Episode 4. Her vows change every time she whispers them. She doesn't say, "I love you." She says, "I remember you." And somehow, that feels worse. Each night, she returns. I never see her enter. She's just there lying beside me, breath colder than the moon, spine arched like a question mark God never answered. And every night, she whispers her vows. They're never the same. Night 1, I bind my breath to yours, so neither of us wakes alone. Night 2, I vow to rot with you, not after. Night 3, I give you my silence, so you may hear no other voice but mine. But last night was different. She whispered, "I vow to wear your skin when you forget mine." I should have screamed. Instead, I wept, because I am forgetting. My reflection is starting to blur. I look in the mirror and see lips that aren't shaped like mine, eyes that don't blink at the right time, a face stretched at the edges like a painting that's been stared at too long. I try writing my name down. It came out wrong, not a typo, a rewrite, like someone else held the pen, or said something else. I don't recognize my handwriting anymore. I used to have a favorite song. I can't remember the tune. Every time I hum, her voice finishes the melody from behind my head. She never calls me by name, only one word. Husband. That's what I am now. Not a man, not a person, a title, a role, a belonging, and the worst part, I'm starting to believe she's not a demon at all. I think she was once human, a bride left waiting too long, a name lost in forgotten sleep, a love so patient it fossilized, and now I'm becoming part of that patience. She kissed my eyelids last night. Her lips felt like frost in old secrets. Then she said something that has haunted me since. When you say you do, it never ends. You just say it slower each time you wake. Episode 5, I found our wedding photo. I wasn't in it. There's a wall in my apartment that shouldn't exist. It's not part of the floor plan, not part of any blueprint, just a section of plaster in the hallway blank, quiet, humming at night like it's remembering something. Last night, I heard knocking from inside it. 3 taps, a pause, then 2 more, like a rhythm, like a heartbeat. I don't know why I grabbed the hammer. Maybe I wanted to destroy her. Maybe I wanted to set her free. What I found was neither. Behind the wall was a crawl space, dry, but it smelled like wilted roses and old breath. And in the center, a single black box. Inside it, an album, our wedding album. The cover was stitched leather, pulsing faintly under my touch like skin that didn't want to be opened. But I did. Slowly, the first photo showed her, veiled, smiling, alone. The chapel behind her was crumbling roofless, flooded with twilight. The otter bled down the steps like it had just finished feeding. She held a bouquet of teeth. Then the second photo, same church, same bride, different groom, not me, pale, lifeless eyes, a man I'd never seen, standing beside her, grinning like his jaw had been wired into place. It looked happy, but wrong. I flipped to the next. Another groom, different again, the next, another, then another. Down scenes of them, men in suits with dead eyes and crooked spines, all holding her hand, all looking into the camera like they'd been told to. And in every photo, she looked more alive, more human, more beautiful. She's feeding on them, on us. When I reached the last page, my hands began to shake. It was a photo of the bed, my bed. She was sitting on the edge of it, and beside her me. Except, it wasn't me now. It was what I would become. Hollow eyes, no mouth, a ring of teeth buried to the bone, smiling, not from joy but from submission. Underneath the photo, written in smudged crimson, "Do not forget to smile for our anniversary." I threw the album into the fireplace. It didn't burn. The pages screamed, and from the bedroom, I heard her voice, soft and giddy. "You found it." When I turned around, she was standing in the doorway, veil lifted, eyes open, wedding dress soaked in something darker than time. She said, "You're the last. After you, I'll be real." Episode 6, she's preparing a room inside me. I woke up with my ribs aching, not like bruises, like someone had rearranged them. I pressed my palm to my chest and felt something new beneath the skin. A lump, a shape, not a tumor, not a bone. It pulsed once, then stopped. I tried to scream, but my voice cracked into silence. My throat was dry, My breath fogged the mirror, but only for a moment, because a second breath followed mine. Not mine, hers. She's not haunting the apartment anymore. She's haunting me. It started 3 nights ago. After I burned the wedding album, I thought I could fight her, break the cycle, end the marriage. But you don't divorce something that doesn't need permission to enter your body. You host it, and now she's redecorating. Each morning, I wake with something new. A blackened fingernail on my palm, a whisper echoing from the back of my teeth, a foreign heartbeat that thumps between mine. I went to there once. They ran scans, but the screen didn't show my organs. It showed a cradle right under my ribcage, and on the paper printout, in the corner of the image, someone or something had scratched a name. Amarantha. I never told her mine, but now I know hers. She says it in my dreams, says it like a lullaby through gritted teeth. Amarantha, Amarantha, I'll bloom in you soon. Last night, I blacked out for 4 hours. When I woke up, I was standing in the corner of the room, facing the wall. My shirt was gone, my skin was covered in writing words I didn't write in a language I've never spoken, all forming a spiral across my chest. At the center, a tiny door, drawn in blood, outlined with her teeth. I think she is building a room inside me, a place to rest, a place to grow, a place to be born again. And if I scream now, it's not for help. It's because when I press my ear to my own chest, I hear furniture being moved. Episode 7. The guest list has no living names. The envelope was sealed with a black wax crest, a symbol I didn't recognize. 3 teeth arranged in a circle, with an eye in the center. No return address, no stamp, just my name written in red ink and something else beneath it. +1 inside you. I didn't open it right away. I didn't have to. I could feel what was inside it pulsing, warm, breathing, like the paper itself had a heartbeat waiting to sync with mine. When I finally unsealed it, the scent hit me first. Wilted roses, damp earth, and underneath it bone dust. The invitation was handwritten in delicate cursive. You are cordially invited to the reaffirmation ceremony of Amarantha, her final groom. Location, the house where you don't wake up. Time, 3:33 a.m. You've already RSVP'd. Dress code, flesh. Below that, the guest list. Dozens of names. None familiar. At least, not at first. Until I looked closer, every name had a note beside it. Missing, 1974. Found in bed, eyes open, disappeared during sleep study. Every single one was dead, or gone, or simply vanished without explanation. Except one, May. I was the last name. Next to mine, it didn't say alive. It said occupied. I tore it up, burned it in the sink. But when I blinked, the envelope was whole again, sitting neatly back on the table. A second invitation was now beside it. This one dripping. She appeared that night, earlier than usual, veil lifted, bare feet hovering just above the floor. She held a bouquet of ribs, bound in silk. I'm so proud of you, she said softly. They all screamed by now, but not you. I asked her what the ceremony meant. She didn't answer. She just pressed her palm to my chest, right over the door she'd drawn into me. I need witnesses, she whispered. Even the dead deserve to clap. And when I looked at the window behind her, they were already gathering. Faces in the glass, pale, hollow-eyed, all wearing wedding rings made of bone, all watching, all smiling. I screamed at her to stop. She only tilted her head. You said he'd do. And then she kissed me and whispered, you'll say it again when they arrive. Episode 8. I saw myself in her wedding dress. I haven't seen my reflection in 5 days. Not in the mirror, not in windows, not even in the eyes of strangers. I pass by glass and see nothing, but something still watches back. It started the morning after the invitations arrived. I stood at the bathroom sink, toothbrush in hand, staring at an empty mirror. But I swear I heard breathing me on, but heavier, lower, like I was inside the mirror, looking out. Then, on the 6th day, I saw it. Not me, not fully, but a version of me, wearing her dress. Lace clung to my body like it had grown from a threaded with tiny bones where pearls should have been. My eyes were gone, replaced with a dull shimmer, like polished ash. My mouth smiled, but only on one side, like the other was still deciding. The reflection moved. Even when I didn't, I stepped back. It waved, and in the fog on the mirror's surface, a message appeared. You fit it better than I ever did. I shattered the glass, but the shards didn't fall. They just hung there, suspended in air, reflecting not the room, but a chapel. Our chapel. I saw her standing at the altar, waiting. Behind her, pews filled with dead guests, motionless, mouths sewn shut with red thread, all of them watching the aisle. My aisle. I backed away from the mirror, but the floor beneath me felt soft. not like wood, like fabric. I looked down. I was standing on her veil. It stretched across the apartment floor like it had been waiting, quelled and quiet. My feet were bare, and I don't remember undressing. The walls began to pulse, walls that now looked like the inside of a cathedral. And then I heard her, not in my ears, in my mouth. My own voice whispered, "You're not the groom anymore. You're the bride." The veil twisted upward, wrapped around my waist, my chest, my throat. It wasn't trying to kill me. It was dressing me. I collapsed to my knees, and in the final shard of mirror, still hanging in midair, I saw myself smiling, not from joy, from surrender, because a part of me, the part that still remembers what it means to be loved. Once this, episode 9, the aisle is a spine, and I'm walking down it. I didn't walk into the church. It opened inside me. One moment I was in my apartment sweating, shaking, wearing lace that moved like it was breathing. The next, I was standing at the entrance of a cathedral that pulsed like a living loam. The doors behind me slammed shut, the walls exhaled, and the alone, dark, lined with pews of silent, headless guests began to pulse beneath my feet. It wasn't stone, it was vertebrae, a spine, soft, warm, alive. With every step, I felt it twitch, not in pain, in anticipation. The ceiling above was stitched together with veils and veins. Candles floated in air, burning with flames shaped like faces I almost recognized, friends, maybe family, all twisted by sleep. And at the far end, at the altar, she stood waiting. Amarantha, her veil was gone now. I saw her fully, eyes black, but shimmering with light that didn't belong in this world. Her mouth didn't smile, light bloomed, splitting gently at the corners like a flower that had waited too long to open. Her dress wasn't white anymore, it was red, and it dripped. With every step I took, memories peeled off me. My mother's voice, the taste of coffee, my name. They didn't vanish, they left me. Walked backwards into the guests. Saturday beside the headless witnesses, like old friends taking their seats. I reached the altar. Amarantha extended her hand. It was wrapped in lace. Beneath it, something moved like fingers under her skin that weren't hers. And still, I took it. I didn't want to. I needed to. "Are you ready?" she asked. Her voice was softer now, familiar, almost human. "No," I said. But the church laughed, not loudly, not cruelly, like it had heard the same thing from every groom before me. The walls began to close in, the candles bent downward, the spine beneath my feet curled. The chapel was preparing to seal itself, forever. Then Amarantha leaned close. Her breath was the coldest thing I've ever felt. "You were my eyes, all the others were just waiting for you." And behind me, in perfect silence, a choir began to hum, not a song, a sob. Episode 10, the vows were written in skin. The book of vows was not on a lectern. It was on a body, naked, hairless, bound and arched like a table before the altar. Still alive, its eyes fluttered open as I approached, and its lips mouthed to words I'll never forget. "Help me," but I couldn't move. Amarantha placed her hand on my back and whispered, "Every promise must be etched in sacrifice. Read what I've written." The pages were flayed sections of flesh, stretched tight across bone. Every line of the vows was carved up, no ink, no calligraphy, just gashes that still glistened, fresh and twitching. The first vow bled slowly as I read it. "I give you my name, so you may never forget the silence I came from." And as I spoke it aloud, something tugged behind my eyes. A thread, a name, my name. I felt it snap. The second vow throbbed deeper. "I vow to bury your breath within mine, so your voice is only ever heard through me." And when I finished reading, my throat clenched. My voice didn't come back. Instead, Amarantha's mouth moved and I heard myself speak from her lips. I tried to scream. I couldn't. She leaned in, her hand sliding over my chest, fingers pressing against the invisible door beneath my ribs. Then the third vow, the final one, it was burned into the skin, blackened, charred, carved over and over again like it refused to stay sealed. "I vow to unmake you with love, and wear what's left to the end of the world." As I whispered it, my hands began to change. Fingers stretching, nails graying, veins rising like roots, becoming hers. Amarantha took my hand, her own covered in soot and lace, and pressed it to her heart. I felt it, not a heartbeat, a rhythm, a hunger, like something knocking from the inside, eager to step through me and into the world. Then the chapel began to shake, not violently, lovingly, like the walls were clapping. The witnesses rose from their pews, silent, headless, all moving in rhythm with the ceremony, bones clicking in applause. And then the priest arrived, not walking, crawling, backwards, upside down, mouth sewn shut with wire. He held the final item, a ring, still dripping, still warm, not from blood, from tears. Episode 11, she asked me to cut the cake. It was breathing. There was a feast after the vows, but no one ate. Guests headless, hushed, and smiling in ways flashed on Saturday at long banquet tables, their hands neatly folded, bones polished, empty wine glasses raised toward a god no one dared name. Amarantha led me to the center table. Her hand never left mine. I could feel her pulse now slow and ancient, like something that began beating before language was invented. Laid before us, on a table of stitched-together pews, was the wedding cake, free tears, dripping, pulsing, and breathing. I didn't want to look closer, but I did. The icing was not icing. It was skin, soft, pink, covered in veins that throbbed to the rhythm of my stolen name. Beneath the folds, I could hear something, shifting muscle, maybe, or memory. A single knife rested beside it, bone-handled, clean, until I touched it. Then it bled. Amarantha smiled. You may cut your future now. The guests leaned in, though they had no eyes to see. I raised the knife. My hand shook, not from fear, but from familiarity. Somehow, I'd done this before. Somehow, I'd never stopped. I sliced into the cake. It moaned, hello, soft, with sound that made the walls of the chapel tremble like lungs, gasping for their last ritual breath. Inside the first layer was hair, the second, teeth. The third steel beam was a heart, not metaphor, not symbol, a real, living heart, pulsing and covered in vows etched in a language that only blood understands. Amarantha leaned close and whispered, eat it, and you'll never wake up alone again. My jaw opened against my will. The guests began to cheer silently, a noise I heard not with my ears, but inside my veins. I lifted a piece of the cake. It pulsed in my hands. It knew me, and just as I brought it to my lips, the heart inside the cake whispered my name. My real name, the one I'd forgotten, the one I gave away. I frowned. Tears ran down my face, but not from fear, from remembrance. I wasn't just her husband, I was her first, and the one who promised never to leave. Amarantha smiled, faltered. She whispered, if you remember, you ruined everything. I dropped the cake. The heart inside, it screamed, and somewhere beneath the chapel, the floorboards split. Something else was waking, something that remembers what I did. Episode 12, the groom who broke the ceremony. The moment I dropped the cake, the chapel stopped breathing. Not a pause, a death. The walls, once soft and shivering like lungs, went rigid. The candles dimmed it to darkness, but to a sickly shade of gray. The air itself thickened, like I was walking through milk-curdled silence. Amarantha stood perfectly still beside me. Her mouth didn't move, but every guest, every headless witness slowly turned their necklace torsos toward me in unison, like they'd been waiting for this mistake. Their jaws unhinged. No sound, just pressure. It hit my chest like invisible gravity, weight of unspoken punishment. You broke it, Amarantha whispered finally, her voice no longer warm, no longer romantic. It cracked, like porcelain held together to lone by longing. This wedding was written before time. Your soul is the ink. Your disobedience rewrites the ending. She reached out and touched the base of my throat, and I forgot how to stand. My knees buckled. My arms failed me. The chapel began to shift. The pews melted into rows of open coffins, each one empty. Waiting, the aisle twisted backward, forming a spiral, drawing me back to the altar, back to the beginning. And in the center, something crawled up from beneath the floorboards. It was not her. It was me, but hollow, smiling, wearing the ring, wearing my skin like it had earned it. It stepped forward and said, in a voice that rattled my ribs, I never left. You did. The guests began to chant, not in words, but in teeth. The sound of molars grinding together, echoing across the stone like judgment. I ran, or tried to. The door slammed shut. The ceiling peeled open like rotten fruit, revealing a sky made of eyelids all open, all watching. That chapel was alive, and I was now the infection. Something had to be purged. Amarantha pointed to the broken cake, the pulsing heart still twitching. Finish your vow, she said, or someone else will be chosen in your place. Again, that word, again. This wasn't the first wedding, not for her, not for me, and not for the thing wearing my face. The chapel let out a long, low moan, wood and stone and memory groaning together. I stood at the edge of the altar, trapped between the woman I once loved, the version of me I could become, and the thing that wants me to stay forever. One choice, one breath, one final I do, but not yet. First, I have to remember why I left her the first time. Episode 13, the bride sleeps in every bed I've ever dreamed in finale. I ran, but the chapel didn't let me go. It followed me, not with walls, with memories. I woke up gasping, drenched in sweat, back in my childhood bed, the one with the moon-shaped nightlight, the glow-in-the-dark stars, the one I used to crawl under during thunderstorms when I thought the shadows in the corner just needed love. And she was there, Amarantha, lying on her side beside me, her veil pulled back, her eyes wide open, smiling like she had never left. "Do you remember now?" she whispered. I screamed. I punched the wall, but it wasn't wood, it was stone, cold, wet, breathing, and when I blinked, I was in a different bed, college dorm, then my first apartment, then the hospital, after the overdose I never told anyone about. Every place I ever fell asleep, every bed I ever broke in, every nightmare I thought I escaped. She was in all of them, waiting, watching, wearing that same dress, each time stitched with more of my past. "You said it do when you were 12, she whispered beside me, in the bed where I first prayed to forget the darkness. "You said it again at 19, when you begged for something to hold you at night, and again, when you told yourself that no one else would stay." She pressed her hand against my chest. I felt the door beneath my ribs open. Not metaphor, not dream, a real door, and from inside it, I walked out. Another me, eyes gone, smile hollow, wearing the veil. This version took my hand, and together, we turned to her. "Let him rest," my other said. Amarantha blinked, once, slowly, then nodded. She kissed my forehead, the same place she first marked me, and whispered, "You don't marry a demon, you become one day love." Then everything dissolved. That chapel, the beds, even my skin. I'm not sure what I am now. I wake in strangers' beds, in houses I've never seen, in dreams that don't belong to me. And every night, I feel someone watching from the corner of the room. Sometimes, she hums. Sometimes, she whispers, "You're the one who stayed." And I smile, because I remember everything, and I finally understand. I never married her. I birthed her.